happy that everything that we have done, with what we are doing, and the things that yet to be done. Welcome to the day two of our hybrid original convergence of educational leaders. To start, we are requesting everyone to please stand for the Makabayan song, prayer, and the execution of the Lao Pilipinas. This all these shall be done through a audio-visual presentation.
Ako ay Pilipino, ang dugo'y maharlika. Likas sa aking puso at hikahin kay ganda. Sa Pilipinas na aking bayan, lantay na perlas ng silanganan. Wari na tipo ng kayamanan ng may kapal. Ika'y sa'king talino sa mabuti lang laan. Sa aking katutubo ang maging mapagmahal. Ako'y Pilipino, ako'y Pilipino, isang bansa, isang diwa ang minimithi ko. Sa bayan ko't kandila, laan buhay ko't diwa. Ako'y Pilipino, Pilipinong totoo. Ako'y Pilipino, ako'y Pilipino, taas noon kahit kanino, ang Pilipino ay
Dear God, we praise and honor you as the Lord of our lives and the Lord over all the earth and beyond. We pray, O God, for your mercy and forgiveness, especially in times when we forget about you and fail to follow your word. O God, we thank you for coming into our lives and remind us that there is always hope for those who pray and believe. For all that we have, our lives, our work, our families, our neighbors, our co-workers, our friends, and even those against us, for whom we also pray. Thank you. O God, as one family, as one department of education, teach us to serve you and your people without counting the cost. Teach us to humble ourselves in the name of public service and serve others above our personal interests. And help us to put our faith in action and see you in everything we do and all those we serve, especially our learners, the heart of the content. Guide and lead our learners, teachers, administrators and staff, family, community, and stakeholders to become faithful to our core values of makadiyos, makatao, makakalikasan, and makabansa, and enable us to contribute to building the nation and the world, and to make us worthy stewards of all your creation. We bring back all the glory and honor to you, O Lord, our God. Amen.
Lihok. Galaw. Galbong. Iwa. Gunay. Buklan. Yes! Halina't tayo'y mag-ehersisyo, labanan ng sakit at dugo. Sabay-sabay tangin sa mundo, at tayo'y mga Pilipino. Manong sumayaw, patsak sumigaw, umalaw, Pilipinas. Sabay ang galaw, walang bibitaw, umalaw, Pilipinas. Mag-aaral sa panahon ito, hindi ko takad at ikemot mo. Eksesyo para sa Pilipino, kalusugan sa buong mundo. Manong sumayaw, matyak sumigaw, umalaw, Pilipinas. Sabay ang galaw, walang bibitaw, umalaw, Pilipinas. Isa, dalawa, tatlo, apat, dalawang galaw, iba-ibang nakatulad sa bahay, ikot gawin masaya, kalusugan. Nasa ugalian, kaya-kaya, lusog na katawan, kalusugan. Nasa ugalian, kaya-kaya, lusog na katawan. Manong sumayaw, matyak sumigaw, umalaw, Pilipinas. Sabay ang galaw, walang bibitaw, umalaw, Pilipinas. Isa, dalawa, tatlo, apat, dalawang galaw, iba-ibang nakatulad sa bahay, ikot gawin masaya, manong sumayaw, matyak sumigaw, umalaw, Pilipinas. Sabay ang galaw, walang bibitaw, umalaw, Pilipinas. Manong sumayaw, matyak sumigaw, umalaw, Pilipinas. Sabay ang galaw, walang bibitaw, umalaw, Pilipinas, Pilipinas.
Thank you for that. You may take your seat. And this time, we're going to have the attendance check. We are now live in our Facebook page and requesting all the members in the different division offices to click your reaction or heart button once your division is called. And for the on-site participants, please stand for recognition. Let's start from the participants from the division of Lanao del Norte. Okay. Nakita ninyo, kailangan sequence ba kayo para makapangandam ang tanan? Okay. How about the participants from Iligan City Division? Okay, pakpakan na to. How about the participants sa atong online world? Please click your heart. Click the heart button. Okay, thank you for that, Iligan City. How about the participants from El Salvador City Division? Ayun. Greetings ang El Salvador. How about the participants from Misamis Oriental Division? Good morning, ma'am and sir, ma'am. How about the participants from Cagayan de Oro City Division? Ayan, good morning po. How about the participants from Hinguog City Division? Good morning, heart. How about the participants from Camiguin Province? Ayun. Appeal si Sir Dal. How about the participants from Bukidnon Division? Ayan. Complete daw. How about the participants from Malaybalay City Division? Wara-wara. Ayan. And now we'll have the participants from Valencia City Division. Ayun, we have Ma'am Connie right there. How about the participants from Tangub City Division? Ayun. O, mutabok na tanig kuan sa Pikas Luna. How about the participants from Osamis City Division? Ayun, complete. How about the participants from Misamis Occidental Division? Ayun, all men. And lastly, but never the least, how about the participants from Oroqueta City Division? Ayun, atong palakpakan. And of course, our colleagues from the regional office, please stand. Led by ARD Vic Di Gracia and RD Art DI. RD Art is coming. Ayan, so maraming salamat po. Good morning everyone once again. Recognizing all our third level officials and all the chief across the 14 divisions of our Region 10. So this time, to give us the recap, let me call in the chief of Tangub City Division in the person of Chief Angelina Buaron. Ma'am?
Thank you, Sir Galoy. Good morning, everyone. Warm greetings to RD, ARD, all schools division superintendents, assistant schools division superintendents, all chiefs in both regional and divisional levels, supervisors, management, and everyone watching through FB live stream. The day started with education leaders brushing elbows yesterday with RD and ARD, exchanging greetings in bits and pieces inside this very cold and cozy audiovisual room. I asked Sir Marino Dal if I am in Alaska, and he told me, no, you are in New York. And you know, New York is a sugar to his tongue. Well, no further question, a follow up to that. Thank you, Sir Marines. And everyone was all clad in Viva Magenta in different versions as we as we venture in this year of the water rabbit, where most, if not all, kept on monitoring about the announcements of the local government units to suspend classes because of the LPA. Well, specifically Misamis Occidental, some areas were already flooded. It happened yesterday. Thanks God nga murag karon ning lorang na. And so the opening program commenced with preliminaries with a special program in the arts of the Cagayan de Oro City National High School Division of Cagayan de Oro City, which also rendered an awesome intermission number. So it set everyone with an awe. The warm welcome of ARD Vic, thank you so much, and the presentation of activity rationale by Chief Mala Epra of the CLMD. The inspirational message of RD Art with his sharing on the nuggets of wisdom already flooded the timelines of some Facebook friends, which held everyone's attention. It was actually from Ratan Tata, an Indian industrialist. And what struck me most is that eat your food as your medicines. Otherwise, you have to eat medicines as your food. Wait, have you taken your medicines? The first forum started with Professor Felicitas E. Paduel. Who would forget her? She's considered as the legend in reading. She shared about developing reading leadership. She's already a legend, as I said a while ago, being one of the top-notch speakers in national trainings in K-12, ELLN, Primals, M2B. All these programs are lodged at the Bureau of Learning Delivery at the central office. And of course, most of us were participants to the training. So, bale, we were really hooked on her presentation. And then, of course, it was easy for us to get along of the flow of the presentation. And her talk included the 14 domains of literacy, the fluency, bridging, and the skills that a reading teacher should have. In fact, one of the questions raised yesterday specifically came from RD Art. The problem there is the fast turnover of the trained teachers in beginning reading, where they were already trained and then they were moved to higher grade levels. It is actually one of the problems. Next forum was with Dr. Liza Marisi Oligario of UP Diliman, where she shared her topic on reorienting the Philippine basic education for sustainable development. It was a timely sharing, especially on her comments in reading for higher grade levels, to focus not on literature but also on news and information. Well, I remember this especially that it is one of the contents in not grade 12, media and information literacy. Also, her sharing included students as agents of change. Common ang agents of change no, in the succeeding talks, where agents is defined by Hifner et al. In 2007. And we have that: A, awareness of issue; G, generate knowledge; E, empower others; N, navigate and negotiate; T, take action; and S, speak out. Next forum was with Dr. Loie B. Dasas of UST, and he unleashed all his observations on teacher agencies in basic education. He shared his topic on the emerging role of teacher agency in basic education, curriculum implementation, and evaluation in a post-pandemic era in the Philippines. His striking line says, "Wellness comes first, learning only second," which brought the audience to a deep thought and reflect for possible action or next steps. His parting insights: the future of education remains volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous in the realms of simply reimagining. Instead, leaders in education must reflect on making teacher not only heard, but empowered. The last forum, that's Forum 3, was with Director Jocelyn Andaya and on curriculum and instruction updates. Well, curriculum and teaching rather than curriculum and instruction, so CTD, not anymore CID. We'll wait to that. Updates of DM 130 series of 2019, featuring 7 subjects, reducing to 5 only. So I told Ma'am Nympha, oh, nauna ka na Ma'am Nim, as what you have shared to me, na 5 na talaga yan with focus on language. Tama naman, iba talaga ito aking boss. MTB as a subject will be removed. The nomenclature of ESP, Sir Kaloy, are the following: GMRC for grades 1 to 6, Values Education grades 7 to 10, and the subject will be integrated in grades 11 to 12. An action step then, it was left by Director Andaya for us, an action step for a tracer study of where our senior high school graduates are now. And announcement, murag nabuhayan naman ang mga mga infot and NSPC enthusiasts. It is slated on July 17 to 21. And of course, our partners in the Palarong Pambansa, July 27 to August 5. Indeed, yesterday was full of learning, but one definite takeaway: the smiles, the hugs, the warm greetings, especially si Ma'am Jean. I appreciate her moving from one corner to another with her smiles. And the learning, indeed, all those made the day. God bless everyone.
So thank you for that, Angie, for a very comprehensive recap of the things that we had done yesterday. Totoo naman, kahapon ay it's a full pack of fun learning and a lot of informative things that we have learned as education leaders. Yesterday, you have noticed that you were given that planner, the cooking up planner, and you might notice that right now I'm holding another book, and we call this Tanaman. And what this Tanaman is all about, let me call in Education Program Supervisor, the person of Sir Ramon Abrera, to tell us about the Tanaman. Sir Ramon?
Thank you, Sir Kaloy. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Notwithstanding the continuing challenges brought about by the COVID-19 pandemic and other education emergencies, DepEd Norman remains resilient, passionate, and committed to delivering quality education for all. Through competent leadership and effective coordination across all levels of governance, from central office, regional office, schools division offices, and schools, and with the overwhelming support of the parents, partner agencies, communities, and other stakeholders, Depp and Norman continuously receives awards and recognition despite the challenges of the new learning landscape. Now that the new year has begun, various emergencies continue to challenge the different sectors, particularly education. Depp and Norman is braver, bolder, and fiercer to pursue its gift, which stands for goal, interfacing, fulfillment, tenacity toward lifelong learning. Depp Norman is clear and determined about its goal to continue quality education for all in response to the call of the times. Its learning recovery and continuity plans, or LRCPs, at the RO, SDO, and school levels, anchored on the National Basic Education Development Plan 2030, will be implemented through recalibrated interfacing. Success indicators and strategies are in place to ensure the fulfillment of the target goals. And yes, Depot Norman will not sit on its laurels, but will continue to face the challenges with tenacity. Ladies and gentlemen, may I invite ARD Vic to say a few words.
Thank you, Sherman. Good morning to each and everyone. A second day, and it seems we are all very happy and energized still. Is it not? After a very wonderful and fulfilling first day, talagang we were all happy for the topics discussed yesterday. Lalong-lalo na yung sa may yung sa reading, no? Oh, ang daming feedback actually na maganda about the topic reading because it was so timely and helpful. And I am sure each of us had a clearer and brighter takeaway already of the reading program. No? Siguro iniisip natin how we can apply the learnings that we had yesterday in our respective situation in the division. Am I correct? Yeah. Okay, and this part, okay. Well, I'd like to congratulate Sir Mon Abrera and the CLMD for the release of this Tanaman Compendium. Hindi pa naman ito na guys siguro sa lahat. Sa cover pa lang ang ganda na, no? And you will be tempted to open. The content is our best practices here in Region 10. So it's a collection of what we are doing in our respective divisions in the whole Region 10, and we picked the best practices, no, that we had, and it will surely guide each and everyone in going further, moving on. No? Maganda yung solid and strong ang ating pinanggalingan so that we can all reach our goals, no? As a division and together as a whole region, no? In our education endeavors. So, we'd like to thank you for your contribution to this compendium. And on behalf of our beloved regional director, wishing you all the best and our gratitude for your unstinting support and cooperation so that we continue to produce the best initiatives here in Region 10. No? This is what I like, no, in my 3 years of being in the Region 10. Kasi ang daming initiatives, no, na makikita. And each division is trying its best to really do something good, no, and beneficial to the learners in your particular setting. So let's keep on doing that, having that positive attitude, no? And continuing commitment to really serve our learners in our respective situations. So again, congratulations, Sir Mon. Palakpakan po natin si Sir Mon. Ayaw niyang ano, no? Ah, Oo, pero tinulungan mo talaga, no? Not the CLMD. The whole CLMD team under the dynamic leadership of our chief, Perry Magnaong. Palakpakan po natin. Talagang pinaghirapan, no? And ma-appreciate mo na you see something very good. Hindi lang basta-basta output, no? But really presenting something, the best in us, no? That we can all benefit from. So congratulations, and we are all happy for this. No? Hard work of everyone, and we harvest it, and we make use of it. And yes, Ma'am Perry said the SDOs are most important part in this collection. No? Kasi kung wala kayo, wala naman talagang libro na ganito. No? And so, congratulations, everyone. I'm sure our regional director is very happy with this output. And there is something more exciting coming. Sir Mon, thank you.
Thank you, ARD. ARD, through the leadership of Chief Magnaong and with the collective support of the team members and our counterparts from the schools division offices. Dito na ako, ARD. Okay. Mangurog na sa daan, ARD. Ladies and gentlemen, we shall now officially launch the Tanaman, the region's garden or compendium of best practices and fruitful harvests in curriculum and instruction. May I request Chief Malaepra B. Magnaong to hand in the symbolic key to ARD Vic. ARD Vic, and may I also request you to please hatag sa Chief kang kuan. Ayan. Oh, nana sila yung mga key of responsibility. And then may I request ARD Vic to come up the stage and probably together with the Chief also to come up the stage and open the door to the tanaman. Oo, ha? Dito. Dito. Sige. Dito. Ila na itutok dia sa lead wall ARD. Kaya na ay dito abrihi ARD ang yes ARD. Yes. Touch screen sa ARD. There, abrihan there. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, our Tanaman, the Region 10's Garden or Compendium of Best Practices and Fruitful Harvests in Curriculum and Instruction. May I request our SDSs and ASDSs to come up the stage and join RD Art and Chief Malaepra Magnaong as our CID and SGOD chiefs distribute the division's copies of the Tanaman Compendium. Palihog ko, i-distribute sa atong mga CID chiefs para sila mag-turn over sa ato ang mga SDSs. Yes, CID and SGOD chiefs. SDSs and ASDSs, please come up the stage together with ARD Vic and Chief Malaapra Magnaong. There. We also would like to request our CID and SGOD chiefs will now hand in the division's copies. Last time sa siguro na to ang SDS with SDSs there. Okay, CID and SGOD chiefs, please do the honors of turning over the copies of your, okay. Sige, pakibigay po sa ating mga SDSs and SDSs. And then you may join them also there for the picture taking, requesting also our regional chiefs who are present here. Regional chiefs, please join us for the picture taking. CID and SGOD chiefs, please join everyone for the picture taking. Chiefs. Regional chiefs, please. Attorney Chato for the picture taking. Natin. All right. There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. One more time, our Tanaman, the region's garden or compendium of best practices and fruitful harvests in curriculum and instruction. Sir Kaloy.
Indeed, our tanaman is a symbol of the convergence of the best practices we have in Region 10. And this is actually a collection of all the efforts made by all 14 divisions in Region 10. And this is creatively and beautifully crafted into one compendium. So once again, ladies and gentlemen, this is the tanaman, the garden or compendium of best practices of fruitful harvest in curriculum and instruction of DepEd and Normid, where quality education for all is a sure win. Again, congratulations to all of us. Ayan atong palakpakan, no? So again, that's a beautiful craft for all. So inyo agin ang mga efforts tanan. And to continue all the things that we have done, and for the day to po, the slated things that we're going to do, first is we're going to have a research, all the researches that we think is useful in the future planning and the future things that we will be doing in our division offices. So to present to us, wait. So for the data of this convergence for education leaders, we have plotted five presenters for this morning and then for the entire day. And then the first presenter, the first session for this morning, it will talk about the analysis of Filipino students' difficulties in answering the PISA 2018 and the National Report of the Philippines. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to introduce to you the first presenter for this morning is the Science Supervisor of DepEd Region 10 in the person of Dr. Nick Panyares. Sir Nick?
Ito kay Sir Ma'am Merald, ma'am. Yes po. Good morning, everyone, especially to our SDSS, ESDS, and to all our chiefs from ECID and SGOD. Allow me to present the study of Alexander Sokalit Jr. of Bureau of Education Assessment, BEA Central Office, on the analysis of Filipino students' difficulties in answering PISA 2018. Okay, Sir Ralph, please, Okay. So this is the study actually of Alexander Sokalit Jr. of BEA Central Office on the analysis of Filipino students' difficulties in answering PISA 2018. So yung mga possible reasons why students are having difficulties in answering questions from PISA. Next slide, please. So this is the overall data or result of the PISA 2018. That is actually countries ranked in descending order. So therefore, Philippines at the bottom, considering the reading at 340, for mathematics at 353 and 357 for science. That is the overall result for the 2018 PISA 2018. Next slide, please. So the objectives for this study is to describe the characteristics of the PISA items which were not successfully answered or not attempted by most students learners. Then second, again, would like to highlight that the study is also focused on not successfully answered and the not attempted. And wala gid yan siran sa mga bata. And number two is provide insights on the Filipino learners' difficulties in the PISA test. Okay, so the methods used in this study is on the different uses the different factors that may have contributed to the difficulty of Filipino learners responding to the PISA were considered in the analysis in light of the PISA assessment framework. So this would include, most likely, ang katong mga subjects, PISA is on English literacy, in English, in math, and in science. So the factors considered are the following. This would include the competency, cognitive demand, context, knowledge, and response format. Next. Okay, 2-item level statistics generated from the response analysis of the PISA 2018 items were used in the analysis of the study. So the very basis or of the study are coming from the proportion of correct answers to the proportion of the students who reached the questions and selected the correct answer. So items with less than 20% correct response are flagged. So nakafocus yung data on the less than 20%. So these are the items na less than 20% lang yung mga items na nakuha ng mga bata correctly. Then in the second item na de-consider is on the items of percent omitted na hindi talaga naansira ng mga bata. Refers to the percent of students who did not respond to the question. So items flagged, more than 10% omitted. So dalawa, less than 20% na correct and that more than 10% na omitted or not answered by the students. Okay, let's start with mathematical literacy. Next, please. On the mathematical literacy, yes, sir. Okay, so there are three components contributing to the PISA definition of mathematical literacy. So ano po yung kinoconsider ng mga factors as mentioned earlier, but on the mathematical literacy, it will only focus on the context, content, and process. So when we say context, this would include the situation in which the problem to be solved has arisen. And for the content, the mathematical knowledge and skills required to find a mathematical solution. And for the process, the actions required to solve the problem. Next, please. Okay, you will see that in that process, context, content, and process. So for example, in the content, a context in challenge and real world context, then mathematical content categories. This would include the quantity, uncertainty, and data, change and relationships, space and shape. And for the real world context categories naman, it would include the personal, societal, occupational, and scientific. So these are the sample on this on the process for mathematics that we have these different processes. We have to evaluate, formulate, employ, and interpret in the context sa atong problem and the results context with the content natin sa mathematical problem and results. Next, please. Okay. So this is the for the cognitive process. Using these two items, they considered as mentioned 20% less than 20% correct response are flagged and more than 20% nga omitted or not answered by the students. So on the cognitive process, formulate, employ, interpret, apply, and evaluate. So these are the number of items na uh, less than 20% na correct answer. Then the other side naman is the percent omitted or hindi talaga didn't bother to answer the question. So these are the number of items 5, 7, and 4 with the total number of items at the last column. So you'll notice at the bottom also the chi-square result of 12.18 for the correct response and the chi-square result of 0.22 for the omitted. So this could be interpreted that Filipino learners, you will notice also that in the omitted is highly significant. So the Filipino learners had significant difficulty in answering PISA items that assess their capacity on formulate situations mathematically on the first nato na cognitive process on formulation. Next. For the content and knowledge, this would include the change relationships, space and shape, quantity, uncertainty, and data. So, as reflected in chi-square and p-value result, these are not significant, which would mean, as mentioned here in the interpretation that analysis of the number of flag items based on the percentage of correct answer and omission rate suggests that students perform similarly in terms of measuring any of the four categories of mathematical content knowledge assessed. So, maora ilahang performance when it comes to change and relationships, space and shape, quantity, and uncertainty and data. Uncertainly, and data. Okay, next please. For the context, this would include the personal, occupational, societal, and scientific. Okay, so this could be interpreted that Filipino learners find it more challenging to answer items situated in the scientific settings. You will notice nga dako kay percentage in the omitted at 53%. So and thus the chance of skipping these items is significantly higher than the other contexts. So daghan kaayo gyud nga wala na gyud nagbother og answer, especially when it comes to the context sa scientific nga nga category. And more than half of these items were skipped by more than 10% of the students. Next, please. For the response format, so for the response format, meron tayong simple multiple choice, complex multiple choice, and constructed response. So in this could be interpreted that Filipino learners had more difficulty in responding to constructed response items. Yung sa ika-third natin na category. Um, uh, as indicated by high percentage of items which were either incorrectly answered at 73% or skipped at 35%. Okay, for the summary, Sir Ralph, for the summary of the findings for the mathematical literacy, around 56% of the PISA mathematics items were incorrectly answered by more than 80% of the students. And about 23% of the PISA mathematics items were skipped by more than 10% of the students. And Filipino learners who took the PISA 2018 find it challenging to respond to mathematics items that require them to formulate katugid ang pinakakuano nga formulate situations mathematically ay items that are situated in scientific context and those constructed response and complex multiple choice items. Ito yung napaka malimit na na-skip or less than 20% lang may correct answer ang ating mga bata. Let's come to scientific literacy. Next slide, please. Okay, for the scientific literacy, next please. Okay, so successful attempt to answer a science item in PISA requires a combination of both the complexity and the range of knowledge it requires and the cognitive operations that are required to process this knowledge. So 5 factors naman ang consider for science to determine the difficulty of items assessing science achievements, which would include knowledge, competencies, cognitive demand, and context. Okay, for number 1, Sir Ralph. Okay, for the competency, this would include to explain the phenomena scientifically, evaluate and design scientific inquiry, interpret data and evidence scientifically. So this could be, the table could be interpreted that Filipino learners find it more difficult to answer PISA items that assess their ability to explain, even sa number 1, explain phenomena scientifically. So, which require them to recognize, offer, and evaluate explanations for a range of natural and technological phenomena. So whenever they encounter items that require this competency, the chance of skipping the items is significantly higher. So morning sa explaining na to is 51%. Ang percent correct lang as a percent correct ni, and the chance of skipping is at 27%. Okay, next please. For knowledge, okay, this would include content, epistemic, and procedural. So this could be interpreted that the results of the analysis of students' responses revealed that Filipino learners significantly skip items that measure their content knowledge. So, which is at 49% lang ang may correct na less than 10%, and the chance of skipping the items na hindi talaga ni-answera ng mga bata is at 29%. Next please, for the content knowledge. For the content knowledge, this would include earth and space, living and physical. So the analysis of the students' responses suggests that at least near half of the items were incorrectly answered by the students regardless of the specific content in science. So this result suggests that students have difficulty answering items that would require any of the scientific content and knowledge assessed in PISA. So lahat po ng mga items, either earth and space, living and physical, nahirapan talaga ang mga bata to answer. Next po, on the cognitive demand. Okay, on the cognitive demand, high, medium, and low. So yung number of items that require high cognitive demand that were incorrectly answered is significantly higher than the items that require low cognitive demand. So at least, dili gid po sila gid sa high cognitive demand yun ang pinaka dako nga percentage nga maglisod yun ang mga bata to answer. For the context, next please. For the context, this would include environmental quality, frontiers, hazards, health and disease, natural resources. So the analysis of the number of items incorrectly answered or skipped by the students showed that the percentage did not significantly differ across context. So pasabot, nan sila naglisod sa tanan-aning mga topics. Environmental, frontiers, hazard, health, o padulong sa natural resources. Next, for the context. So in the context sa global, local, or national, and personal. So analysis of the students' responses to items in the PISA 2018, science assessments are placed in personal, community, local, and national, or global context suggest that the percentages did not differ significantly. So halos pareha-pareha ra gyapon nilang performance from these different categories. For the response format naman, for simple, next please. Response format, Sir, okay. Okay, response format, this would include simple multiple choice, complex multiple choice, and constructed response. Filipino learners find it more difficult to respond to constructed response questions. So, kini gyapon just like sa mathematics ganina, na diri gyapon naglisod sa constructed response, 34% yun ang skip by the students. For the summary of findings, next please. For the summary of findings, nearly 50% of the PISA science items were incorrectly answered by more than 80% of the students. And about 17% of the PISA science items were skipped by more than 10% of the students. So Filipino learners who took the PISA 2018 find it more challenging to respond to science items that require to explain or mag-explain og phenomena scientifically, items that measure content knowledge, high cognitive demand, and just like sa mathematics, constructed response items. Okay, let's have now the reading literacy. Next, please. Okay, for the reading literacy, okay, the PISA items or the PISA reading literacy assessment measures the students' mastery of the possible cognitive approaches of readers to a text. Should include the reading process by varying the dimensions of the range of material that is read as text and the range of broad contexts or purposes for which reading takes place with one or more thematically related texts. Okay, let's have now the cognitive for reading literacy. This would include locate information, understand, evaluate, and reflect. So this could be interpreted that the results suggest that the text process needed to successfully attempt a reading item does not significantly influence the chance of students providing an incorrect response or totally skipping the item. So the high percentage of incorrect items indicates that they have not mastered the range of reading processes needed for a particular task, context, and information environment. Next, please, for the cognitive process schedule. This would include the scan and locate, represent literal meaning, integrate and generate uh, inferences, corroborate and handle conflict, reflect on content and form. So more than half of the items that measure sub-processes represent literal meaning and integrate and generate inferences. Under the understanding category are incorrectly answered by more than 80% of the students. So furthermore, significant omission rate is also noticeable in items measuring items' ability to integrate and generate inferences. So from the given text, which is 1 out of 5 items are skipped by more than 10% of the students. Sige. Next, for the text source. For the text source, this would include multiple source text and single source text. So the results suggest that the source text is not significantly associated with a chance of students providing an incorrect answer or skipping an item. So however, high percentage of items incorrectly answered or attempted at all or not attempted at all that the students in PISA had the difficulty in approaching units of text regardless of whether it is single source or multiple contexts. Okay, for the text format on the non-continuous text, continuous text, and mix. Okay, so the results suggest that the text format does not significantly relate with the percentage of students providing an incorrect response or not attempting the answer or attempting the item. For the text structure, this would include the, next please, multiple or single. So Filipino learn in single text structure to be difficult. At 33% talaga for skip by the students na wala talaga inansiran at 20 number of items. Thus, they have more tendency to skip this item. So, manang at 32 and then 33% na omitted or not answered. Okay, next. For the text type, Sir Ralph. Okay, this would include the argumentation, description, exposition, instruction, transaction, and narration. So analysis of the numbers of incorrectly answered and skip items revealed that more than 80% of the students got half of the items wrong. And also, 50% of the items that uses descriptive text were significantly skipped by more than 10% of the students. So you will notice no na 50% good ang description inansiran sa mga bata. For the context, okay, personal, educational, occupational, and public. So the results suggest that the context in which the items are situated does not significantly influence the chance of students providing an incorrect answer or skipping the item. So however, considerable high percentage of items, at least 1 out of 3 are flagged due to having more than 80% of students failing to successfully answer these items. So, especially sa ating public and occupational at high percentage. Sige po. Next, for the response format. For the response format, single, complex, and constructed. So, the results indicate that significantly high percentage of the constructed response items are either wrongly answered or skipped by the students. Also, considerable high percentage of complex, just like sa science and math kanina, katong constructed response man to ilaha, pero dini in the complex multiple choice items are incorrectly answered by the students. Okay, for the summary, overall, nearly 50% of the PISA reading items are incorrectly answered by more than 80% of the students, and about 29% of the PISA reading items were skipped by more than 10% of the students. So in particular, Filipino learners who took the PISA 2018 find it more challenging to respond to reading items, ask them to integrate and generate inferences. items with single text stimulus, and items that use descriptive text and constructed response items. So just like consistent yun no nga at basta constructed response items, English, math, science, and English pareho gud nga naglisod ang mga bata at these items. So what are the recommendations for this study? Number one, number one, each assessment domain has to place a strong emphasis on the development of higher level competencies. An individual need to actively contribute to nation building. But in a spiral curriculum, just like sa atong K-12 curriculum, this can only be fruitful if competencies are properly distributed and organized in a sequence that goes from simple to complex, and a lower level competency are mastered before progressing to the next higher level. Okay, second recommendation is that the use of a wide range of real life contexts and sources of information and concepts to contextualize the mathematical and scientific knowledge and processes and text processing strategies should be explicitly articulated in the curriculum. So delivery of instruction and learning resources. So katag yun ng mga real life context and sources of information. Number three, I guess this is the last recommendation. Students should be exposed to various cognitive assessment formats that measure varying levels of knowledge and skills contextualized in real life situation or real life scenarios. Complex multiple choice and constructive response items. So teachers alike should be trained on how to construct these types of tests sa katong kaning constructed response and complex multiple choice. I guess that would be all for the PISA 2018 analysis. Thank you.
Okay, so thank you for that, Sir Nick. And this time around, we're going to open the house for the Q&A. So as we understand in the presentation, it is numerically and literarily, verbose and locations. No, kadami no. Daghan kayo ginasulti dito, daghan kayo ginasulat. Pero one thing is that in the development siguro of the assessment in our respective divisions, perhaps we're going to look into how teachers do their assessment. Ana siguro kay it might be possible that the kind of assessment we give to our students is not actually the same or at par with the assessment that PISA is doing with our students. So tendency is that basin og dili aware kayo og dili kayo familiar for our students to do the doing the assessment for PISA. So anyway, this time around we're going to entertain questions and concerns if there is. Wala, seeing none. Okay, so if ever there are concerns po, we will be distributing links or Google links po or template. I guess there are templates na given to all to everyone, no? You can just write down all your concern and comments. Opo. It shall also be posted in the possible GCs po that we have para ma-consolidate na to ang tanang concerns and the issues, and then we can give the outright the answers later on nga consolidated na siya. Tama ba, Sir William? Okay, that's good. Anyway, public safety announcement po for those who are in need of emergency medical assistance. Our medical and safety officers are on standby at the ESSD office, a third floor, to provide first aid intervention. Kindly look for Sir or Chief Myron Talusig or Dr. Richard Dragon for assistance. So this is just a friendly reminders for all the from your Education Support Services Division and DepEd Region 10. So if ever po meron tayong concern, we can always look for those people mentioned po. Ayan. Wala na, okay na. Okay. So, my concern is Sir Ed. Is Sir Eddie Oplinaria. Yes, sir. Recognize po.
Thank you very much, Sir Kaloy. Good morning, Sir Dr. Nick, and to our personnel in the regional office and my SOMOS in the superintendency with our CID chief and SGOD chief from the 14 divisions. Uh, First of all, I would like to express my heartfelt thanks to Dr. Nick Pañares for presenting to us the result of the study. Uh, as I was observing the slides, Sir Nick, it shows that the analysis focused on some of the difficulties experienced by our Filipino learners. Now, let us be specific here in Region 10 with the 14 divisions that we have. I think the same difficulties are also experienced by our learners. Now, at the end, there was a note of the recommendation that teachers should be taught on the development of questions, the different levels of questions. Now, I would like to share my concerns also with the regional office, with our chief CLMD, Dr. Epra, that while we may be focusing on the development of higher order thinking skills questions or the different levels of questioning, we will also take a glance on how the teaching learning delivery are being done in the respective classrooms, because I think the problem started in that teaching learning delivery. No matter how beautiful the questions that we may be able to formulate using the different levels of questioning, but the absorption of the knowledge from the teacher to the learners is, I think, a matter of concern. At this point, I would like to request the regional office also that please, if possible, you should have designed also some technical assistance by which you can help the 14 divisions how to go on with this problem. Because one portion of the difficulty is the cognitive processes required of our pupils, our learners, how to react, how to respond to the questions. Meaning, our learners has to be equipped with those cognitive processes. There was even a mention of reading processes that our learners find it difficult to respond to the questions because of their failure to to use that learning reading processes, no? Meaning pag-comprehend, pag-infer, naglisod na atong mga bata. This time, it is highly a technical question, and I'm requesting the region to please help the 14 divisions. You may design a technical assistance procedure, perhaps, or whatever policy you would recommend, so that we will also be guided how to go on with this, because this is a problem. And we have to act on this immediately. Please, we need your technical assistance.
Ayun,
Thank
so
you.
thank you for that, Sir Eddie. Before I'm going to give it to Sir Nick, one thing that siguro that we're doing, the regional office is doing, is that, as you can remember, we do the first run of our intensive monitoring because we really want to collect data, real-time data in the field po. Gusto nating tingnan kung ano yung nangyayari sa loob ng classroom, not just in the reading intervention, but also in the delivery po. And then we'll be doing a second round on that and bringing with us na all the field with regional supervisors po, yung mga na-collect na data, and then the ano po, the TA that we have gathered out from the first run of the intensive monitoring. There will be
Thank you.
possible second run of the intensive monitoring, ma'am, no?
Okay, thank you very much, Sir Loy. Ma'am, follow-up na lang, ma'am. Aron pakasaran ni magtubag, ma'am. Thank you very much also for that monitoring effort you did. Now, please, after gathering the data, please formulate also the technical assistance. Also, sige naman tag Research Congress ni sa Region 10, atong sana, Basic Education Research Fund. We would like to know also some evidences if those products of researches we did in Region 10 are also being utilized by our regional people, regional supervisors, in giving technical assistance to the field. Kaya kami, Ma'am Ipra, in 2020, 2021, we submitted our research journal here in the region na I don't know, giganahan bang region ato kay until now, bisan one sentence, wa ko'y na-receive kung giganahan sa mong trabaho. Na please tell us kay mundang ni ba nagtrabaho ang research o di na mapulos na to. Please give us technical assistance also, if possible, using the different researches we conducted of all the 14 divisions in Region 10 para mapuslan na itong BERF. Thank you.
Sir, thank you very much, SDS Ed. If you observe, we distributed template. If in that template, we are looking at your end. Yung sinabi ni Sir Ed, sana makita namin yan. There is the CO, there is the RO, Anong kailangan ninyo from us? We're looking for that. You can also share to that template ano din kailangan dyan sa CEO. And in your case also, we'd like also to know what are your reaction ba, suggestion, activities, initiatives based on the recommendation. So if you're going to look at the template, there is the title of the study, there is the presenter, then the first column are the recommendations. We cannot touch there because this is given to us by Bea during the Panuki-Duki 2022. It's an education fair, but I'd like to inform you that it's a fair si LMD Chiefs rin attend. So the fair siya, pila ka 17 regions. The purpose of that is like this. Among i-share in this forum because they cannot go the whole country. So that's the reason. And that's why we have to get feedback from you from all those researches. So we give you that template. So bawat presenter now will give you the template. Nakasulat na ang tanang recommendations. We'd like to ask from your lens on that study. Then the regional office will have to come up, do some brainstorming, and study on it. And we'd like to, amo na nang anong suggestion ni Sir Ed, and I'm actually expect na sana namo, nga magawas na siya iyang point ni Sir Ed. Then from that, we will, I think, initially among agreement is make it into a regional memorandum on, again, make a forum with the CID and SGOD, kay depende sa naigo, if it's under SGOD or CID. So that's the plan of the regional office. That's why we really intend to have today talking about all the researchers from the central office, and we'd like I'd like to ask from you na di na mo na makuha ng ilang mga methodology because that's their study. We'll only deal more on their conclusions and their recommendation. But we need your own way, your own understanding of it. Feel free to write with that. And if you're going to if you want the soft copy, we can also provide you the link of the soft copy. And for the information of everybody, before this regional convergence will end, we will provide you all the presentations starting yesterday and all the studies here through a Google Drive. So, sir, to get of we'd like to ask from you na you can more working break ta kay nakakauna ta sa ka-oras. We will just get that one before the end of this day. No? So there are 4 people there working in one. So pwede na nato makuha na on that because murag di na may mahurot ug amo pa nang tagaan og 15 to 30 minutes to answer on it. Okay? Sige. Salamat kayo. Sir, thank you very much.
Okay, so again, I would like to reiterate all your concerns and comments for such as your insights from the presentation and the succeeding presentation that we'll be doing for this morning. Please write it down in the template provided to you so that we can consolidate all your concerns and we can lobby it in the central office as well. And what we can do in the regional office in refining our practices and services towards our students and our teachers po. Ayun. So maraming salamat po.
Yes. Good morning, ma'am. Good morning. I was reminded of my request with RD Art regarding the results of the PISA as to the number of items that we should prescribe to our teachers in their periodic examination, because we have varied number of items that is being implemented by our teachers when they are making periodic exam. Now, I was reminded of that. Kasi until now, we do not have yet any response from the regional office. Yes. We do not have any response yet from the regional office. Now, in relation to that presentation by Sir Panares, it covers math and science and reading. I'm wondering, since that is a descriptive study, did we also look at the results of the PISA through the lens of our curriculum guide? What I mean is, why did the learners choose to skip those items? Is it a question of were they trained about it or they do not have any idea about it? Because if we will look at our own competency, perhaps explaining yourself in mathematical term or equation may not be found in our own curriculum guide. So can we look at results of the PISA through the lens? Because perhaps from the lens of the CG, we will find the explanation why the learners skip those items.
Exactly. Thank you for articulating that, Sir Amit. No, that would be nice input po, so that we can give it, we can throw it to the central office. Now they can look into the details and integrity of the items po, and then all their findings para makita po talaga natin in the different lenses as to how we're going to fully understand the results po of the PISA, and also to respond to the needs of our learners. Kasi that's where the gap comes in. Kailangan natin tingnan siya, and that's a good insight. Thank you for articulating that, Sir Amit and Sir Ed. Maraming salamat po. Ayun. So again po, I would like to remind everyone to please fill it out or write it down in the template provided to you so we can consolidate your concerns po. And we can process it later on. So this time around, we would like to present to you the plaque of certificate to Sir Nick Panyares. Please stay in front and together with Ma'am Perry. Let me read the citation. Plaque certificate of recognition is presented to Dr. Nick C. Panyares, Regional Supervisor of CLMD, for his meritorious contribution as a resource speaker during the hybrid regional conference Convergence of Education Leaders on Curriculum and Instruction at the Audiovisual Center of DepEd Region 10 here at Zone 1, Upper Balulang, Cagayan de Oro City on January 10 to 11, 2013. Given this day, at Cagayan de Oro City, signed by Director Arturo B. Bayocot Siso III. I would like to request also ARD Vic for the in presenting the certificate po. Sir Man, pa-picture ko sila. Okay, there you have it. Thank you once again and congratulations, Sir Nick. Thank you for presenting the research of DepEd Central Office. Ayan. Okay, so this time we would like also to remind all the participants on-site and virtual that we have our Kwame. The link will be posted later on so that we can we can give our feedback in this convergence po, in this convergence activity. And for the online participants po, there will be a separate Kwame for you since ang sa Kwame Manggod ang na-require sa quad is na ay meals, and then basically wala man mo labot sa meals, so di mo makasubmit. Ma'am Lori promised that she will be creating another Kwame for that. Thank you. This time around, we're going to proceed to the next presenter for this morning. This shall be presented by another education program supervisor. The topic is on the TEAMS 2019 items, diagnostic report, and TEAMS 2019 national report. Please help me welcome the presenter for this session is none other than the education program supervisor of mathematics, Dr. Marino Odal. A round of applause, please. Naganda may kikinis Sir Marino eh. Tiya. Sir Dal.
Blessings and cheers, everyone. Happy New Year. RDR, ARDB, the SDS, and ESDS chiefs of the 14th Division offices. Ma'am Perry, our Mother of Perpetual Hope in the region, our CLMD chief, my CLMD family, o sa atong mga kauban sa buhat sa sulod o gawas sa atong whole, atong education program supervisors in the divisions and in the region. Kanatong tanan, maayong buntag. Sir Rap, I will be presenting two topics authored by Mary Stephanie G. Yao of BIA, BCD. One is TEAMS 2019 item diagnostic report. But before that, alamin na natin yung TEAMS, yung Trends in Mathematics Science Study. Nagsugod siya 1995. So this TEAMS 2019 is the 7th international assessment conducted by teams. Then sa 2019 teams, it was conducted by grade 4 and grade 8 students. Then in 2019 again, 58 countries and six benchmarking entities. Also for grade 4, not grade 4. Sa grade 8, there are 39 countries and 7 benchmarking entities joined or participated. But sad to note that the scores of mathematics is 297 and for science is 249 respectively. And for and sa 58 countries, Philippines ranked 58. Congratulations, Philippines. So this is it now. 58. Rank 58 of the 58 countries participated. So let us start with the Sarap. Next slide, please. Let us start with the introduction. Okay, nakita naman ako diri, no? So, maura man gihapon from intended curriculum, implemented curriculum, then going to the attend curriculum. So, alam naman natin yung intended curriculum, alam naman natin yung implemented curriculum, tayo yun. Yung mga bata, yung attend curriculum. Next slide, please. So, for mathematics, kung inyo bitong tanawon pag-ayo, kay kana bitawng intended curriculum sa mathematics sa central office, o sa teams, maugid gyapon na sa ato. Maura gid parehas ra gyud. So this is it. For mathematics, understanding and appreciation of key concepts and skills involving numbers and number sense. Geometry, patterns and algebra, measurement and statistics and probability. That's for mathematics. And for science, next slide please. Ito yung science. Investigate changes in some observable properties of materials when mixed with other materials or when force is applied to them. Identify materials that do not decay and use this knowledge to help minimize waste at home, school, and the community. Describe the functions of the different internal parts of the body to practice ways to maintain good health. Classify plants and animals according to their habitat and observe interactions among living things and their environment. Infer that plants and animals have traits that help them survive in their environment. Investigate the effects of pushing or pulling on the size, shape, and movement of an object. Blah, 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 blah. So that is for science. Next slide, please. Let us proceed to implemented curriculum. Kasi alam naman yun, alam ng mga teacher yan, yung intended curriculum. Nasa atin yan eh. For the implemented curriculum, ito na. The percentage of students taught the team's topics. It is a comparison between Philippines and the international average. Tingnan niyo yung mabuti at suriin nating mabuti. For mathematics topics, number, international average 86, Philippines 99. Measurement and geometry, international average 76, Philippines 93. Data, international average 78. So, nagtay sila sa Philippines. Then look at science. Life science 73 for international average, Philippines 95. Physical science 58 ang international average, 90 yung Pilipinas. Earth science 60 and 73 ang Philippines. So sino yung magaling sa teams topic nga gitulo sa mga bata? Ang galing-galing ng Pilipinas. Paras-parehas lang tayo, di ba? So next slide please. Yung attend curriculum, yung assessment framework. So yung sa mathematics, yung science mamaya na yan kasi Darating tayo niyan. Sa mathematics, content domains. So 50% yung number, measurement, and geometry, 50%, yung data, 20%. Cognitive domains, knowing, 40-40-20. Knowing, 40 yung applying and reasoning is 20. For science, content domain, life science, 45, physical, 35, earth science, 20%. Then cognitive domains, knowing, applying, and reasoning, 40-40-20. Ato ginang hinuktukan pag ayo kay maghimo ra mamog recommendation ug unsa among himuon. Og si kuan gani gahapon si Joyce Andaya, sabi niya kahapon, di ba? Gumagawa sila ng paraan. Next slide please. So attend topic areas. Ito na yung kinasabi, yung whole numbers, expressions, simple equations and relations, fraction and decimals, 50%, number. Measurement and geometry, 30%. Then yung data, reading, interpreting, and representing data, then using data to solve problems, 20%. Next slide, please. Ito na yung overall strength and weaknesses. Tingnan natin mabuti. Average percent correct statistics and mathematics content domains. Look, Philippines number 26.40%. Geometry and measurement 23.56%. Data 27%. Sa international average, tingnan nyo. Malayong-malayo tayo sa international average. Whereas sa content, yung pagtuturo natin, parehas lang ang competencies, di ba? So, international average, okay. That's for content domains. Next slide, Rob. For the average percent correct statistics in number topic areas. Whole numbers. Philippines, 28.28%. International average, 46.66%. Expression, simple equations, and relationship. Philippines, 25.45%. International average, 43.55%. For fractions and decimals, 22.19%. And international average, 34.38%. Mga igsuon, hinumduman ninyo ha, kaya ni siya grade 4 ni siya. Grade 4 ba yan ni ilang istadihan? Wala pa sila siguro nag-study sa grade 8. Kay 58 countries man, ang grade 8 kay 39 countries man. So grade 4 jud ni. Next slide please. Next slide. Okay. Average percent correct statistics in measurement and geometry topic area. Philippines, measurement 18.68%. International average 35.48%. Geometry, Philippines 29.38% and international average 50.04%. Next slide please. Correct statistics in data topic area. For reading, interpreting, and representing data, Philippines 27.95%, international average 42.13%. Using data to solve problems, 19.60% and international average 32.20%. Next slide, please. Average percent correct statistics in mathematics cognitive domains. Philippines, for knowing, 33, international average 51.22, then applying 22 for Philippines, then international average 39, something, then reasoning 16, then international average 30. That's for mathematics cognitive domains. Next slide, please. Average percent correct statistics in mathematics assessment item types. Philippines, selected response, 34.55%. Then constructed response, 17.90%. Then the international average for selected response, 50.56%. And the constructed response, 35.40%. Next slide, please. Yung mga sample items, tingnan niyo yung sample items. Ito siya, yung, for example, sa measurement and geometry, cognitive domains applying. Complete a symmetric figure na square and given half the shape and the line of symmetry. Ito yung sample item nila. Kung susuriin nating mabuti, yung mga data, yung mga meter sa electric meter, electric bill, mga ingana na jud, mga practical approach na gid ang gigamit nila. So, hinatunta. Sige lang, okay na unya ra mag-istorya na. Then the percent poll credit, international average 70, Philippines 13. Nga hunter mong tataan na, no? Sige lang. Next, sample item 2, rap. Sample item number 2. Tingnan nyo dito, graph. Grade 4 na siya. Data, cognitive domain, knowing, description, reads data from a line graph. Ingana siya. Then the answer there is, the question is, what was the water level for week 8? The correct answer is 16. Tama ka, Sir Artemio. Kung tama ka, Sir Artemio, tama kayo yung mga bata natin. Tingnan natin yung percent poll credit. Average, international average, 68. Yung Philippines is 28. Okay. Next slide, please. Sample item number 3. Parang abstract reasoning lang siya. Data, cognitive domain, knowing, or reasoning. Then, description. Represent data from a table and a picture graph. Ano siya? Mura lang siya abstract reasoning. But look at the percent poll credit. International average 61, then Philippines 17. Okay? Next slide, Rap. Attend curriculum in science, assessment framework. Again, nasampit na natin yan kanina eh. So yung content domain ng science, life science, 45, physical, 35, 20. So 45, 35, 20. Cognitive domains, knowing, applying, reasoning, 40, 40, 20. Next slide, please. Ito yung attend curriculum ng science. Life science, ito yung topic areas. Characteristics and life processes of organisms. Life cycles, reproduction and heredity. Organisms, environment and their interactions, then ecosystem, human health. That's for life science. For physical science, kana siya. Earth science, kana po siya. Makita mo na ninyo, or you will receive a copy on that. Next slide, please. So this is the overall strength and weaknesses. Susuriin nating mabuti, especially those who are science-oriented. Content domain, Philippines, life science, 23.36%, physical, 24%, earth science, 22%, then international average, 36.68%, physical, 37.62%, and earth science is 33.43%. Next slide, please. Average percent correct statistics in life science topic areas. You read and understand. Klaro kayo, dako gid ang international average. Next slide, please. For physical science topic areas. Ito siya. It is a comparison between Philippines and international average. Susuriin niyo mabuti. That's for physical science. Next. For earth science. The average percent correct statistics in earth science topic areas. International average pa rin yung malaki kaysa Pilipinas. Next. Science, cognitive domains. Knowing, applying, and reasoning. 27.14%, knowing, applying 21.59%, reasoning 20.50%. Then, sa international average, muna siya din na 41, 34, 29. Next slide, please. So, average percent correct statistics is a science assessment item types. Item types, mga igsoon. Selected response, 34.32. Constructed response, 7.75% for Philippines. For international average, 44 and 23.93% respectively for constructed and the selected response. Next slide, please. Sample items number 1. Life science, cognitive domain, knowing, description, recognizes an animal that has no backbone. Choices, ABCD. Which animal has a backbone? Very clear. Tingnan mabuti. Ano ba yung may backbone dyan sa choices? Very clear, frog. But yung Pilipinas, hindi nila alam yung frog pala ay may backbone. Kasi 56% lang sila, oh. Then, ang international average is 74%. Very good. Yun ang gagawin natin, ipamilyar ang mga bata sa mga types of questions. Next, sample item number 2. Ito siya, hindi ko siya makita talaga. Pero ana siya, oh, mura lang siya. Ay, can you read for me, Sir Kaloy?
Using two pictures of the same location, explain that the moon can look differently in different times. At different times.
Did you read everything?
Okay. Okay, one evening, Peter went, di na ako mabasa, outside and made a drawing of a house, a tree, and a moon. Basta mo to siya, gagmating kayo.
Anyway, you will be given copy. So, analysis gyapon siya. Kung ba't bito noon, kana biya sa mura na sila gyud. Murag para sa ang pangutana murag bila unsay bugat, 1 kilo gapas o 1 kilo nga dagom. Murag ingana na nga pangutana. So, simple gid siya nga applying. Next slide please, item number 3. Ito yung item number 3, physical science, cognitive domain, reasoning, then description, explain the importance of controlling a variable in an experiment. Ana siya. So international average 21, Pilipinas 1%. Di ba nakakaiyak? Very touching resulta. Okay. Sir Rap, let us, dili lang ta magkuhan kayo nga ana ang resulta sa Pilipinas. Kay ana naman kina siya. Bahala sila diya. Rap, next slide. So ito yung general observation from the researcher. So ito yung tingnan natin mabuti. Yung general observation. Yung Thames Tooth, pareha sa yung topic, di ba? But these are the general observations. Lack of foundational knowledge and skills. Next observation. Attention to exam and testing techniques. Next, weak language proficiency. Next, teacher training in the foundation and intermediate pieces. Yun ang nakikitang general observations sa research nga gihimo nila sa BIA. So let us proceed to recommendation, Rap. So ito yung recommendation sa central office. Oh no, recommendation from the researcher to the central office. Ana day siya. So Central Office. Kamo sa Central Office. Mangayo ra ba mo report nga ditso layo ra ba nang bukinon ug man na i-submit. So, Central Office conduct studies to determine how topics are taught to elementary students and ensure that the delivery of mathematics and science subjects is in line with curriculum requirements. So, Sir Amit, mo para sa imong pangutana ganina. Salamat, Sir Amit. Next, Central Office. You work towards the improvement of curriculum alignment and continuity. Next, revisit and reiterate the learner promotion and retention policy and its implementation. Next, Central Office, improve the provision of mathematics and science pedagogical infrastructures and resources to schools. Central Office, you review and monitor the professional development of teachers in mathematics and science curriculum. Himuan na ninyo Central Office. Bisag napay chance ang Pilipinas mo gawas nga mananaog. Next, sa Regional Office, taga-Regional Office, paminaw mo. This is the recommendation of the researchers, from the researchers to the Regional Office. Regional Office, paminaw. Monitor and evaluate the provision and use of pedagogical infrastructures and resources and schools. Next, Regional Office, conduct workshops to educate teachers on the content, flow, design, and use of curriculum guides and emphasize high-quality teaching and learning. Regional Office, ato ni. Next, Regional Office, embark on differentiated strategy of assessment, interventions, and support for improving learning outcomes. Bawat taon, nagre-resist tayo, mga burp, ang dami-dami na. Pero ato bang gigamit. Next, Regional Office, investigate teacher job satisfaction and motivation as well as their concern in their teaching profession. Nakinig kaya kayo sa General Office sa mga huhungihong ug mga ngo sa atong mga teachers? And also, we have also here, Rap, next slide, the Division Office. So Division Office, after this, I will give you template. Gagawa kayo ng paraan kung paano ninyo gagawin ang lahat para matulungan natin ang mga bata natin. So ito yung gagawin nyo, ito yung recommendation ng researcher to the division offices. Division offices, paminaw mo pa kayo. Design or contextualize appropriate pedagogical interventions for teachers. Second, monitor teachers' participation in professional development activities and the appropriateness of the professional development activities participated in by the teachers. Take note. Division Office, amo binang nabantayan yun nga, ang participant niyo ipadala sa balik-balik, igkaayo, bisa gumanan si ani, siya gihapon, walay lain. Unya, kaya ihatag po uban kay, kami lagi naglista. Abo, akanang Central Office ko na, sir. Sige lang, okay na, dawatan na mo, sir. Kagipangayaan, ana manggod po ang Central Office. Kung mangayo sila bitaw, diretso-diretso manggod po. Nya, karon sila mangayo, ugma na ipasa. So, Division Office, paminaw. Emphasize high-quality teaching, learning, and authentic assessment. High-quality teaching, learning, authentic. Marami nang ginagawa ang Division Office. Congratulations, Division Office. Ginagawa niyo to. Padayon sa inyong gibuhat. Padayon. Daghan ako nakita nga, inyo yung gibuhat. Very good, Division Offices. Thank you very much. Next. Kani number 5, Division Office. Monitor teachers and learners' attendance under use of learning resources in school. Tabangin ninyo pag-monitor ang atong maestra o atong mga kabataan. Na kaya ako rabang bata si 20 ra may grado nakurat ko. So, sa school, division offices, makakuan mo sa eskulahan. Kay inyo man ang ila man na, magsige lag liquidate ang principal. So, schools, mga viewers, mga principals, paminaw mo, inyo ni, for those who are listening in our viewing the Facebook, school principals, paminaw mo ani nga idea, ang recommendation sa researchers para sa atong mga principals. Initiate collaboration and coordination among math and science teachers of different grade levels to discuss the contents and coverage of the curriculum guide per grade level. So dili gid mag-iya-iya. Mga viewers, paminaw mo, dili mag-iya-iya. Ang inyong naksisyon, lahi ang nahitabo. Lahi ang giistoryahan. So magtapok-tapok ang math ug ang science. Ang tanan math gikan sa grade 1 padong sa grade 10 mutapok ug magisgot-tisgot. Ana kay it takes a whole school to bala ang mga bata mahimong engineer. So ana gid unta ang mahitabo schools, paminaw mo schools nga naminaw karon. Next, viewers, encourage unsa ba to rap na wala? Encourage the giving of constructive feedback during observations and performance evaluation. Master teachers, take note. Please encourage the teachers giving constructive feedback. So, bisag imong tan-awon sayo pra, nya ilang mga maayuhon dili nimo tan-awon. So tuduig in taon, malipad sila ba? Happy all the way. Next, monitor and manage rates of absent. Ito, importante ito. DTRs. Viewers, monitor and manage rates of absenteeism among teachers and learners. David, okay na niya siya. Murag daghan ako nakita nga ingani. Next. Reading program. Provide appropriate support to non-readers. What have you noticed to our reading programs? Dami-daming pangalan. Kung sino yung principal, pangalan niya, acronym. Pero the unod, the content of the program is the same. Maura siya. So, palihog lang. Bisag isa na ka reading program, tanan, uniform ta. Basta kay naay abot. Next. Viewers, schools, encourage and monitor the use of authentic assessment in the classrooms. Bisag ibalik-balik lang itong sa una nga mga isang, di pang tigom lang. Na mura po ibalik, kay kapoy na mag-prepare. So please, schools, this is it. So I will give you template after the national report. Napay national report, Trap. So this is the first report for the item diagnostic report by Ma'am Mary Stephanie of BIA. Next, Trap, the second report, the national report. Lakbayan na nato ng uban nga na-take up na. So, TIMS 2019 National Report, ito na. Yung mga comparison pala, kung kinsay daghan, private, public, kinsay maayo, laki, bay, ana-ana. So, next slide. Ay, makita, libro kamay kayo. Next slide, please. Mga igsoon, kaning national report, ang mga part sa introductory part, maumaura sa items diagnostic report. So, this is TIMS 2019 National Report. The same author. Next slide, please. Ito pa rin siya. Again, yung sinasabi niya, yung intended curriculum, okay, blah, blah, blah. Then language of taste, English, paper terms, ang mode of assessment, participating countries, 58 plus 6, benchmarking entities, meaning grade 4 ni siya nga study. Next, Rap. Okay, we know this one, same. Next, Rap. Context questionnaire framework. Ibig sabihin nito, yung practical application ng exam, yung relate ang mga bata. So, klaro, kasi ganyan, mga reading, mga meter, ingana. This is the context of the exam. The framework of the questionnaire. Next, Rap. The methods used is two-stage sampling. When we see two stage. When we see two-stage sampling, of course, dalawa yung sampling. Stage, okay, dalawa siya. Kasi malaki yung population. Kasi malaki yung population, so dalawa yung ginagamit na sampling. So natatawag siyang two-stage sampling. Stratified ba or random, whatever. Next, then yung probability, proportionate size sampling. Meaning, kung malaki ang schools, marami yung participants. Marking ana ang meaning ana. So, ana siya. Next rap. So, ito yung performance benchmark. Yung minimum score. Sa advance, both science and mathematics, minimum score 625, high scores 550, intermediate scores 475, low is 400. Low ang 400. But Philippines is 297 for mathematics and science 249. So, belong siya sa low. Low siya, low. Next! Ito na siya, Mathematics 297 and science 249. Next. Achievement by gender. Sino ngayon ang bright? So sa international average, sa mathematics, ang boys is high, bright ang girls kaysa boys. Girls ang bright kaysa boys. For mathematics, din sa international average, ang boys kay 503, ang girls kay 409. So ang mga boys, dako gamay sa international average. For science, ang sa Pilipinas manitanan. Philippines man international average. Okay. Sa Philippines, bright ang girls sa science kaysa boys. Sa international average, bright ang magmamaura. Equal ra ang girls ug ang boys sa achievement by gender. Sa ato karon, kinsay bright? Ako ang bright, ako ra mo isa ani. Next slide please. Rob. Public versus private. Mathematics, private gid ang private schools, then public schools. Private pa rin ang nag-una. Then, sa science, 405, 203, public pa rin. That's achievement sa public versus private schools, both mathematics and science. So, dako, murag, ambot lang. Basta pero karon dako naman ang public, maayo, nabiya mo kaayo. Competitive na biya ang public school karon. Kani sa 2019 pa man ni, so karon magdagko na siguro. Next. Engagement and literacy and numeracy activities. Mathematics, kanang blue, open engage. Kanang red, sometime engage. Ana siya, dool raman. An engagement. So, tuloy ang laban sa ating primals sa mathematics and science. ALLN. Makatabang po siya diri. Next. Next slide, Rap. Students not ready for instructions. Ano pag-interpret ana? Very little, some, a lot. So, ana gyapon. Not ready for instruction, a lot. Very little, 17.8%. Some, 70, okay. So, very little ang not ready for instructions, ang daghan. Okay. So, ni-jive yapon siya. Very good. Next. Next slide, Rob. Professional development activities. teachers' participation and professional development in mathematics in the past 2 years. So yung red, yung unfuture needs. Yung blue, the participation in the past 2 years. Sa ato pa, kay 2019 siya gikandak, 2018, 17. Okay. So, yun, mathematics content, mathematics pedagogy instruction, mathematics curriculum, blah, 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 blah. So, ana siya. So, mas daghan ang needs in the future nga wala pa nato na address. So, muna atong hisgutan unya sa inyong template. How are you going to address that one to your own division and schools? Next, professional development activities, teachers' participation and professional development in science in the past 2 years. So close sila sa past 2 years and future needs. Okay, Sir Carlos, how are you going to interpret that? Yeah, sir. Help me.
Makuyawan mo tanin niya. So as you can see, this is a very good input if we're going to look at it, especially for the regional offices and SDO. Now we need to look into the needs of the teachers, especially for science lang, din is integrating technology into science instruction. Kay mo ni ang mas daghan nga nanginahanglan. Though they already have trained for this in the past 2 years, pero in the context of 2019 ha, pero daghan pa gihapon among the platted or slated content, daghan gyud gihapon ang nanginahanglan, especially in integration technology. But again, we cannot compromise nga dapat i-prioritize nato sa integrating technology because these are kanang essential components we need to train, especially in we're talking about L&D of teachers.
Very good. Sir Carlos, salamat. Next slide. Ito yun, akong kinakabahan ako dito, covered themes, topics. Internal average, yung blue, yung Philippines, yung red. Daghan tag na-cover jud nga mga topics. Daghan tag i-cover nga topics jud. Ug nasubraan ra ba yun? Nasubraan na po siguro kadaghan. Sobra pa kahit sa international average. Look at it. Ano siya? Pero ang performance nato nagdiferensya. Sir Eddie. Ano siya? Next slide, please. Instructional clarity. High clarity, moderate, then low clarity, tanawa. Okay naman, di ba? High clarity man ta. So, mubangga, high clarity, pero banggaon sa atong performance. Nakakaiyak din siya. It needs our tutok. Bakit? Klaro na may gaita nga aton ang gibuhat. Nga naman yung resulta. Next slide, please, Sir Art. O ito na yung school resources. Computers available for mathematics lessons. Then, available science laboratory. Yung yes, 23%. Yung available science laboratory, 16%. Yung no, ang dami. 77%. Then, available science laboratory, 84%. Yung availability of computers and science laboratory. Okay, next. Next. Whiz forward, mga igsoon. According to the researchers, we are going to use the team's findings as basis for the kindergarten to grade 4 science and mathematics curricular review and updating. Then, please, if possible, address lack of facilities and shortage of qualified personnel to address teaching and learning issues. Next, improve clarity and quality of instruction in mathematics and science through appropriate training. Next, intensify advocacy programs and campaigns on the importance of parents' roles in their children's education. Next wrap, mga igsoon, it takes a nation to educate a child. Maing buntag kanatong tanan. Please do not ask questions. I will give you a template for you to.
Okay.
Yes, yes. Sir Amit.
Okay, thank you for that, Sir Dal. So it's intriguing, no? The data are very intriguing. Pero yeah, Sir Amit is being recognized by Sir Dal.
Okay. Thank you. May I request to please go back to that slide showing not ready for instruction? Itong not ready for instruction.
The second slide, Sir Ralph. I mean, oh yeah, the second presentation.
Before that, mga four... before that. Not ready for instruction. Number 11.
Ayan.
I do not understand, honestly, why there is such a category not ready for instruction when this is mathematics and science. Will you please explain that, sir?
I have to explain. By the way, Sir Amit, I am not the researcher for this, but if you want me to explain why our bata is not ready for instructions.
Kasi if we cannot explain that, then we cannot explain why there is a very low. Makita ganin nato ang clarity of instruction is very low. Meaning, among agreement ni karon ni Basil, ang ato mga bata highly fed but undernourished. Kay di ay dili clear ang kuan, and then ang mga learners not ready. So unsa gibuhat sa atong competency?
Muna, daghan mo kay competency, apas-apas ta. Humanon gyud, humanon. Anak mo gyud siya. So anak siguro, sir. So kung ako ang imong patubagon, sir, kanang namang koy anak, sir. Nya 70 yang grado sa math.
Agoy.
Nya nagilak akong balatian. Kay dili po siya ready for instruction. So usa ko sa nabasol.
Nabasol
Kay
ka?
wala pa ko siya natutukan.
Okay.
Mga ginikanan, tutukan po ninyo mga anak. Next, also ako po, sa instruction po, kanang sa region pa, ang teacher mang good kay. Ambot lang ka, dili na ginako research, dili ko na mutubag. I had to play safe. Ma'am Perry, please help.
As what we said, this is a study from the Bureau of Educational Assessment. Sir Amit, I'm happy if we're going to put it there under the column of the central office. Sa template na may column sa central office so that we can bring it to central office on how itong imong gi-question, sir. Because all your views regarding the study nga intended for CO, among dalon sa CO. Then intended for us, then we're going to study then at your level and at the school. By the way, while I was looking at listening to the presentation, and I love the suggestion of Ms. DSBK na gusto siya after all this presentation, dalon gid niya sa layer siya to the supervisors, though they are listening now, pero gusto niya dalon for them to the school para very comprehensive ang inyong comment. So we can have just give you the template, but I think we just give you 2 weeks from now or kaya ninyo to send back your comments under COR that one. And I love the suggestion, but if you can do it now, yeah, we will be happy with that. So katong inyong comments karon ibugagin na ninyo din sa template Like, naamoy ko on the way it was being studied, din nakita si Ma'am Ninian. So, pwede to siya ipangutana nato. No? Because basically, we are just giving the dissemination of the information. Because the one who made the study is from the Bureau of Educational Assessment. So again, ayaw ninyo nagdaginuta inyong comment din na ibuga na tanan yung comment anang template. And you are free to modify the template if you want to. We will give you the template later. Uban atong Google Drive where there are copies of the presentations.
Okay.
Okay.
Sir Dayon, a reflection, last reflection.
Yes, recognizing the ESDS of El Salvador City.
Thank you very much, Chief Perry and Dr. Marino Dal for the presentation. Let's give a round of applause to Sir Dal for his presentation. While listening to your presentation of a research conducted by a certain group of people, these things came into my mind as I am reminded that while we were on our way home yesterday, together with Chief Ninian, we were discussing about Singapore math. So I am not into mathematics as I am aware nga English man akong background, but then I try to look into the details of how Singapore mathematics will be done. It's a simple reminder or a simple suggestion from this humble being na would it be possible for the central office? Now, of course, we are provided with a template. Over the years, since 1995 to 2019, Singapore has been consistent in its performance in mathematics. As I look also in Google, there were also some efforts coming from USA connecting with Singapore, how Singapore did it, and there were books that were published in US. So would it be possible, or it's a sort of policy recommendation that our beloved mathematics supervisors are listening now. Our dear SOMOS in the third level are here and the regional office. We will be looking into how mathematics, Singapore mathematics is done because as I have noticed, I don't know if you share with my observation, these Singapore mathematics are more popular in private schools. Di ba daghang nagsulputan ng mga private schools nga they offer tutorial in Singapore mathematics. From my humble recommendation from the city of El Salvador, headed by our Mother Gem. Thank you and good morning.
Yes, thank you for that. Perhaps Ma'am Perry has wants to share something po. Yes, Ma'am Perry.
Okay, sana we can achieve that dream. Hindi na siya magiging dream, realize niya. Really, it's the program and curriculum regarding Asia like Singapore, Japan. So they're more on the practical work approach. And one thing is, we're talking of assessment. This is only just my point of view na when it comes to funding, huwag niyo nang tipirin ng assessment. Sir Ahmed is telling us the standard number of test items per quarter. We talked with NEC and then siya nga, because my instruction right after that is talk with the coordinators and they were not able to come up with that day. So therefore, we're going to go to the central office. If they have what is that? Basis on it. Pero I like also to put into emphasis na when it comes to assessment, sana bigyan din ng good funding on assessment. Like, if we have that PISA-like or TIMSS-like way of doing or constructing a question, then you need a lot of paper there. Di na siya pwede ugamay nga papel. So, kung dabi mingon si principal nga, usara gid ka page or duha ka page. So I think we have also to take into consideration that one, the funding on it. And if possible, kung we can fund man gali atong mga team building, tingali madugangan po ang funding for assessment na hindi siya matipid sa school. So there are principals gali sometimes nga kapaamot. And I think should not be magpadugang for that. So yan lang. Ang akong point is, try also to look at the funding when it comes to assessment, from training, from anything that you're going to do regarding the assessment, most especially test sa mga bata nga dili sana tipiron. Okay, back to you, sir.
Okay, so thank you for that, Ma'am Perry. So the same no with the proponents that we're using na all teachers are reading teachers. I guess we can also argue that all teachers could be a science, a physics, and all learning area teacher. Ang kulang lang siguro is the capacitation, L&D, learning and development. The trainings that we provide to our teachers, dili bitaw siya nga kanang hit and miss. Like what we think na right is kuan siya, it should be data driven, it should be research based, and it should be more touch based ba? Like what they appropriately need, it must be given and provided to them. Siguro na siguro ang argument niya. Yes, from SDS, Olga Alonsabi, Insight. Sir, Dal Paluco.
My advisor.
Since the first sharer kaganina, I'm thinking about this training. Very expensive for us in the Department of Education. Training, then the time that we have to spend. But from the recommendations kanina and now, it is very important to have the central office work with the TI because they are the producers of our teachers. So sa TI mismo, even in science, we are product of the sauna specialization. I'm biology major, the other one physics. So na-implement ang K-12 spiral. So how can we master that when teachers themselves are not ready for this? And so pila na taka years, almost 10 years na, the TI should make our teachers be ready if we cannot change the curriculum. Because yesterday we were listening, no need to change the curriculum. But it has something to do with how we implement. But basic pagigyapon si teacher. Now, at this time, sige tag pag-goodbye sa mga teachers na ma-promote, na retire, na ito sa Amerika. And new teachers are coming in, mag-training na punta. And these are young teachers na ato nakuha karon. Fresh from college, na experience kapila na, pero nag-training na punta. So very important to deal on this with the TI, that there has to be a preparation, really a good preparation for our teachers. Kaya imagine the content, wala. Content mismo. So how can teachers give something if they do not have? So we have to focus also. I wrote this in under central office, that there has to be a good connection with the TI. Kaya sige lang tag-training. Yes, nakapasar sila sa PRC. Pero, dili man to tanan na measure. Di ba? So, all this tests until this afternoon, puro na ni test result, mga result. So, TI, ang importante po na to.
Okay, thank you for that, Ma'am Olga. I truly agree with that idea na there should be a murag teacher preparation yun nga sakto for teachers, and the key of that is for the TEIs to align their delivery or their mandates to the needs of DepEd. I remember one policy that I remember one policy of Region 1, and what they did, though specific for reading ni si Ma'am, what they did is that CHED and the regional office, the DepEd, had a MOA with TEIs, with CHED DI, requiring all the TEIs to provide teaching reading at the early age. Murag kumbaga bam kana murag early reading stage bitaw. So meaning all their TEIs within Region 1 are really incorporating in their curriculum, all education students are really having units on teaching reading with that MOA. So siguro that's a good idea, Ma'am Olga, nga atong sundan. And then we can actually think sa atong regional level how we can do that. Also have another input from SDS Gaso.
Good morning, everyone. In addition to Ma'am Olga's TEIs, no issue, siguro there is also a review of our law, Magna Carta, because even if our TEIs in education will really work harder on producing good teachers, but because of that provision na they can shift anyone, college education, not not education, college degree, can shift to education by only having 18 units. So that's also, we have a lot of applicants nga 18 units in education only because they are degree holders nga outside from our education. So yeah, and then that is review of our law.
Indeed, this is a really good avenue for sharing. Siguro at the regional office nga guro personnel, we can look into how we do our PIRs. Nga this time we are not going to look into sa proficiency lang, sa results lang, sa initiative lang. I guess we also need to also look into the policies existing we have in DepEd, in CHED, and all other agencies nga attached sa to. We think could really affect our delivery of the of our karang duty. Siguro another refinement in our PIR siguro sa regional office na siya. Ma'am, recognizing the SDS of Tangub City, Ma'am Nympha.
Hello, blessful Wednesday, everyone. Thank you for the presentations because we are also enlightened and we have to revisit everything. Now, I'd like to center my query or recommendation or suggestion on the DOST scholars. There are DOST teacher applicants who used to waive. And then perhaps there is really a need to revisit the contract or MOA or whatever provision that would really require this scholar applicants under the OST that they have to return service good ba nga they are required not to waive anytime. Next to that is on the provisions about step increment for teachers who are major in math and science. There was a provision on that they are reclassified into T3 and perhaps this can also encourage more teacher applicants in science and math. Another thing, in fact, we have a brief discussion in here in our division that during the hiring of supervisors, district supervisors, education program supervisors, we need to siguro situate nga naa sila specialized or area of concentration. For example, district supervisors. Though they are from the elementary, kung general ang ilahang elementary education, but we need also to consider the area of concentration, more on science or math or English. And for the testing or assessment, yes, it's true. There are many trainings on assessments. And then, siguro we need to train our teachers, not only supervisors, on determining the nature of difficulty of items. And usually, even in the past, I do not know until now, ang ratio is the easy questions are more than compared to the ratio of the moderate and difficult. Now, what if we will have more numbers of difficult questions rather than the easier questions? And then, ang problema nga concern ana, how skillful our teachers in terms of determining the difficulties. And we also discussed that since we conducted trainings on assessment, we need also to not to tax our teachers, classroom teachers, in constructing test items per quarter. What if the supervisors, matong ningon ko nga, ang PSDS, not only the education program supervisors, dapat they have specialization para pag develop sa test items, pwede ra sa division level. And we have this what we call item banking, which can be utilized by our classroom teachers. Mura na lang sila og naikatalog ba nga according to level of competencies. Oh, ingon ana. So thank you so much for this opportunity.
Thank you for that SDS, Nimfalago. No, there are 4 points raised. The US scholars, step increment, hiring of supervisors, PSDS and APS, and also in testing. So that's good kay murag ikuan siya in connect siya sa issue ganina, I mean concern ganina ni SDS, ESDS amit on the items of the test in the I mean providing description or prescription in terms a number of items. So that's good, Sir Dal. Sir Amit, before you, we'll have Ma'am Cherry. Yes, Ma'am Cherry.
Good morning. A rejoinder sa comment ni Dr. Lago. In determining the difficulty of an item, ang problem agad nato is that, I don't know how from experience, is that when we construct the test items for a quarter exam, we allow the teachers or those who constructed the test items to determine the level of difficulty without going through field testing and conducting and the conduct of the test item analysis. Siguro ang atong buhaton, this is a suggestion. Probably at the regional level, we study the same competencies regardless of the division, regardless of our situation. Probably so that we can come up with better test items. Maybe, kung nahimo nato sa itong module, kung i-assign ka nato, let's say, we cannot do it now on the second quarter because second quarter will be 2 or 3 weeks from now. Probably we start on the third quarter. Probably we will have an arrangement such that, let's say, Cagayan de Oro City will prepare for English learning area. Then i-go through na mo, amo siyang i-try me, mag-administer me at the field until we can come up with better test items and arrange according to level of difficulty. Another thing also that I have observed is that while we are able to determine the number of test items, we still follow 30, 40, 50. But the case is, how many of the 30 items shall be considered for difficult items, for easy items, for average items? Siguro kani nga tanan nga things we need to consider and we need to look into rather than magsigitag ingon we train our teachers to we teach them how to write better test items. Probably do na tayo na nga miss out nga important issues. Another thing also, this is now the time after the discussion of Nick and Marino. I think this is the best time now that we connect with the TEI. Nabayay assessment of learning 1, assessment of learning 2. Why not connect with the TEI and we share with them our experiences with the teachers that we hire? After all, ila ang pre-service, ato ang in-service. Then probably we can have a solution to all our problems. Siguro, and ako pong nakitaan, I have read katong sa Teams and sa PISA. You see, kinahanglan gid siya skill. Sa usa ka picture, pila ka test questions ang na-create? 5, 4, and mga higher order. Siguro time na siguro that we also revisit our competencies and also we try to, if we train our teachers, siguro ang first nga itong buhaton, it is to train on the mastery of the content kaysa mulahos na takaron sa preparing and making of test items. That's my comment. A rejoinder to Dr. Lagos.
Thank you for that, SDS Limbak, Reyes, DI. For that input. Tama yun, no, breakdown of test items in terms of difficulty and also connecting with TI. Interfacing kung baga, that's good. Sir Amit, yeah.
Thank you, sir. This is a reflection on what has been observed with our teachers in the delivery of the lesson, assessment of the learners after the delivery. It appears now that our teacher induction program has failed to only a short span of time because we only do the teacher induction program in preparation for the teachers, giving them the task to teach. But we did not consider that teaching cannot just happen at a snap of a finger. It is an evolving skill of the teacher. The teacher will have to get to know the learners and then prepare the lesson as she or he gets a better idea of who his or her learners are. So this is just an imperative that our teacher induction program should also include a coverage that will provide for our teachers the technical assistance when they are already teaching. So what I'm trying to imply here is the teacher induction program should not only be done prior to the teacher given the teaching task or the assigned class. It should also cover how they are doing, how they fare as they are already teaching. So, and then when we do the teacher induction program, it should not be a one size fits all nga ang major in mathematics will also be trained like those who are major in English and major in science. So if we are to conduct a TIP, there should be a TIP for the English majors, TIP for the math majors, and TIP for the science majors so that we can give them the assistance suited to the needs.
Okay, thank you for that, Sir Amit. That's a good observation. One thing that's good with this convergence, sir, is that our chief from the 8 functional division, especially the HRDD, who is planning the RSP, can do refinement as to how we do or develop the TIP program. So one last thing from from the SDS of Ozamis. Ay, nadir, inara, ma'am. Oo.
Good morning.
Good
Thank
morning,
you so
ma'am.
much. I am with all those who have given their comments and recommendations earlier, but I'd like to anchor my comments and suggestions with what SDS NIMFA and SDS Cherry Limbaco Reyes have expressed earlier. Those were actually things that I've written here in the sheet provided to us. I was trying to ask if are we really still confined with the 60-30-10, or are the division offices allowed to do innovation, to do some initiatives to make it like for Osami City, we are doing it the 40-30-30, 40 for easy questions which fall under remembering and understanding, 30 for average, which questions fall under applying and analyzing, and 30 for difficult questions which fall under evaluating and creating. Well, it's very clear when we try this, medyo low ang kuha sa atong mga bata. But of course, if we keep on dreaming to really develop the higher order thinking skills among our learners, we really have to venture on something which we did not do before. Because if we keep on dreaming on having the learners and the Philippines get high in the teams, and yet we still are so much confined with the 60-30 and 10, we are dreaming for something big, but we are still using the same strategies. We keep on employing every now and then it's not giving us another result. And I hope that it's also okay for the regional office for us to sustain what we've practiced since last year, that it's the division office preparing the summative test. The teachers are doing and making the formative tests. That's why we conduct training on them on how to construct tests that would elicit higher order thinking skills among our learners. But it's the division office making the summative test. But it's not only the supervisors working on it. We have a core group of test constructors coming from the master teachers, the school heads, and the supervisors. And the group come up with the summative test, so 4 quarterly tests for the whole year. And we plan to sustain it. I hope that we are not violating anything because we really are looking into how to improve the performance among our learners. as seen on our assessment as learning, assessment for learning, um, assessment of us and for learning. So yes, that's what my point is, that we're dreaming of something big, but yet if we are always confined on the 60-30-10, then I might be wanting a different result and doing the same thing again and again. I don't find it sound. So I hope that I am not violating any policy in the regional office when we sustain what we practiced since last year, that we provide a division-made quarterly test. And the teachers, of course, are also trained in the making of test items for formative tests to elicit the higher order thinking skills among our learners. Thank you.
Thank you for that, SDS Jin. It's true, in making our dream into reality, we need to challenge the status quo. And challenging that means we need to innovate and explore possibilities. We need to kumbaga journey in the unknown para mahibawan na to, ma-unlock na to kung unsay na dito. For all those who have shared, daghang salamat. It's a very nice input. It's a very good input for all of us in the regional office, and also gives us a reflection into our practices and what should we do in order to provide assistance to our teachers, our learners, and also to our field offices or field of personnel. So maraming salamat. And also for our online online viewers, maraming salamat din. I hope you also give your comment, because we also want to hear from you. What are your thoughts about those things that being shared, and what are your concerns? Let us know your lens. Maraming salamat po. Right now it's 11:30, ma'am. Is there a go signal, ma'am Pairs, if we continue? We can have it in 30 minutes. Yeah, or less. Okay, so this time around, let's proceed to the third session for this morning. It's all about English composition writing of Filipino learners. Please help me welcome the presenter for this morning is Dr. Ramon G. Abrera Jr., our EPS in CLMD. Sir.
Thank you very much, Sir Kaloy. Again, a pleasant day, everyone. Allow me to start with a quote from English philosopher Francis Bacon, who said that reading makes a full man, conference a ready man, and writing an exact man. Ladies and gentlemen, that is how indispensable it is for our learners to master reading, conferencing, and writing, among all other 21st century skills. And today I am tasked to present one of these concerns, which is writing. The research study is titled English Composition Writing Ability of Filipino Elementary Learners by Alexander A. Sukalit Jr. Next, please. In his study, the researcher defined writing as constructing meaning by generating appropriate written texts as based on purpose and audience to communicate one's ideas effectively using a good command of standard English. Since these are the only available data that we have, I would like to presume that by standard English, the researcher refers to standard English as American English, not British, Australian, or Canadian, etc. Next, please. For his method, the researcher involved 6,083 respondents, specifically grade 5 students, randomly drawn from 16 regions, 124 divisions, and 173 schools. Next, please. The researcher also involved 75 raters who scored the test responses using a partially cross-linked design. Next, please. The respondents' scores were transformed into ability scores from 1 to 100. Also, 4 categories of performance were used to describe what the students knew and could do in writing. Next, please. So this is an example of level 1 student output. If I may just share my insights about it, because we were not given enough data. This is the lowest performance category, which illustrates the student's manner of expressing in short sentences, incorrect spelling for words like kind, actually signed for kind, as for us, and here for her. and then some capitalization issues plus incorrect subject verb agreement for she love instead of she loves. So this is level 1. Next, please. This is level 2 student output, which demonstrates longer sentences, still with some issues on fragments, subject verb agreement, and a little of capitalization for the word sisters. You might wonder where Region 10 falls in these levels. Next, please. This is level 3 student output, which demonstrates the student's use of concise sentences, short but logical, employing a series or list in the word helpful, honest, and smart. So na siya yung mga series, no? Improved use of subject-verb agreement. Oh, wait. That is still level 1. Sorry, Sir Ralph. Ha? Kaya medyo nasayop ko ka ng kwan, Sir Ralph. Sequence sa akong copy. For level 1, yes, please. Just continue. Level 1. Okay. Level 1. Yeah. Illustrating the student's manner of expressing in short sentences and then incorrect spelling for words like signed for kind, as for us, here for her, and then some capitalization issues plus incorrect subject verb agreement for she love instead of she loves. Are we okay? So Ralph, next please. Okay, level 2. Demonstrating longer sentences, still with some issues on fragments, incomplete sentences, subject verb agreement, and a little of capitalization for the word sisters. Tama ba? Yeah, okay. Next, please. Level 3 student output, which demonstrates the student's use of concise sentences this time, short and logical, employing a series of, or list in the word helpful, honest, and smart, improved use of subject-verb agreement, except for the last sentence. The student wrote, she live instead of she lives. Yeah. Level 4, of course, is the highest, which demonstrates the student's increasing number of improved sentences, use of complex and compound complex sentences, awareness of paragraph organization, at least somehow, even with simple, complete topic sentence development and conclusion, and use of quotation marks. So how we wish our students can already write this kind of English. It may not be perfect, but at least understandable and somehow meets our standards. All right, let's proceed to the next one, Sir Ralph. Okay, results and discussion. Number 1, Sir Ralph. First finding. Wait. Meron. No, meron. Yes. Pakliw ko sa number 1, Sir Ralph. Ako mag siya change gamay, Sir Ralph, no? Number 1, yes. The national average, which is 48.5 of the culminating writing task scale, is at level 1. This is level 1 student output. Ato itong ipakita siguro balik later, no? The lowest performance, which illustrates the student's manner of expressing in short sentences. Wala mo din ako na gi-copy paste. Sige. Next, please, Sir Ralph. The national distribution of students show that about 58%, 33%, 8%, and 2% are at levels 1, 2, 3, and 4, respectively. Again, at level 1, the learners demonstrate understanding of nouns and adjectives, and then constructing simple sentences with very limited ideas. I'm supposed to show you the comparative, a comparison of the 4 levels. So this is level 4. Yeah, that's okay. Level 3. Result number 3. Based on this quadrant, we belong to below average writing ability and above average variation. At least we're not in the bottom. Torata dito, oh. Below average writing ability and above average variation. Oh. Okay, next please, Ralph. Although the girls significantly outperformed the boys for 3 score points, both were still categorized at level 1. So level 1 lang gihapon. Next please. Students in private schools scored significantly higher by 13 score points or level 2 than students in the public schools. Next please. The students who claimed to frequently speak English at home significantly scored higher by 6 score points than those who frequently speak a language other than English at home. A higher proportion of non-English speakers, or 92%, was categorized at the lower levels 1 and 2 compared to those who frequently speak English at home, which is accounted only for 75% versus that of the non-English speakers with 92. 7, regions with more highly educated parents also fared better than their counterparts, suggesting that the parents' educational attainment affects the students' writing ability. 8, likewise, students with higher socioeconomic backgrounds, which may probably include income, education, employment, community safety, and social support, among others, perform better than students with lower socioeconomic backgrounds. And 9, however, there was no indication of strong relationship between the magnitude of socioeconomic inequalities and the extent to which writing abilities would vary across regions. 10, students who obtained higher scores in the culminating writing task assessment also scored higher in the writing domain in the 2019 Southeast Asia Primary Learning Metrics, which is a regional learning assessment and capacity building program designed by and for Southeast Asian countries to improve relevant and equitable learning outcomes for students in basic education. Based on these findings, the researcher was able to formulate the following conclusions. Still, a large proportion of girls and boys across the regions have difficulties in achieving the expected writing competencies at their level. Socioeconomic factors at home and learning conditions at school have significantly influenced the variation of students' writing performance, and the impact of these has not been sufficiently addressed for all groups of children. Let's proceed to the recommendations. In schools and classrooms, the development of the writing skills should be emphasized by Ma'am Len. May I request the distribution of our sheets? Are we done? Okay, thank you. Strengthening the foundation skills of writing at an early age. 2, allocating adequate time to teach writing and engaging learners in the process of writing. And 3, providing learners with frequent writing opportunities for authentic meaning making and message sharing purposes to develop not only their writing skills, but also learning and thinking in different subject areas. 4th, implementing evidence-based methods in teaching writing, including the use of digital technology consistently and employing assessment strategies that scaffold writing. At the system level, educational leaders and partners, education stakeholders, and policymakers should pull efforts together by creating an environment in the early years of schooling that replicates a literate home environment and prioritizes the building of the core foundational skills of writing or language in general. Reducing the effect of children's background and school conditions of students' learning by setting priorities in implementing evidence-based approaches that lessen learning differences between groups of learners and schools. And finally, allocating accessible and adequate learning resources for all schools, prioritizing those children coming from vulnerable and disadvantaged backgrounds. That would be all. Thank you very much.
Thank you for that, Sir Ramon. So this, the data, the results, and the findings is really helpful in processing and identifying what are the things that we need to do in addressing the gaps. So, wag dako kita ng trabaho. Yeah. Regional office. Ingon pa ni Sir Dahal. Regional office. Ingon na gid siya. Yeah. Right now, it's a time check.
Time check, it's
Yeah, time check, it's lunchtime. Bitaw eh. It's 11:45. My insight, I would like to remind, if ever na you have your insights po or reflection with regards sa presentation of of Sir Ramon, then we can put it down or write it down in the template provided to you. And then later on this afternoon, Ma'am Pears, what time we're going to resume? So we can start at exactly 1 o'clock. Okay, so this afternoon we'll be back at exactly 1 o'clock, so we can start early and we can finish the entire session or the entire day two early. So this time around, the food is ready. I would like to request nasa Sir Vince, ma'am. In the absence of Sir Vince, I would like to request Sir Ramon to raise to pray for the for the meals.